And Minister She is an example of that because his first academic degree is from the Shanghai University of Foreign Languages. And he would not be here today if he hadn't mastered foreign languages. And those of you who are here and are undergraduates, I do recommend that you think of adding a second, third, or fourth language. Minister She then received a BA in law from the China University of Foreign Affairs in Beijing. And his first assignment was on the British desk of the West European Bureau in the ministry in Beijing. And then he went from...
Well, Vice Provost Gilbert Merks, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by thanking Vice Provost for your kind introductions. It gives me great pleasure to come to Duke University, the Gothic Wonderland. As I was introduced by the Vice Provost, I was in North Carolina in 1999 during the Eisenhower Exchange Fellow. So today it took me a little bit longer to come back. Well, the Duke University is well known for its motto of knowledge and faith, and has over the years produced a great number of outstanding figures in various fields, and has been at the forefront of education and research. And I'm sure the generous Mr. Buchanan Duke must have felt more proud of the university than his tobacco company. Duke is among the first American universities to accept Chinese students. One of them is Charlie Jones Sung. He was a close friend of Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Mr. Sung studied here at Trinity College in 1881, long before the university was renamed after Duke. He was in fact the first international student in Duke's history. Charlie Sung made the Sung family one of the most prominent families in modern Chinese history, and was the father of the famous Sung sisters. After completing his study, he went back to China and became a staunch supporter of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, which supported his course, which culminated in the overthrow of the feudal Qing dynasty in 1911. I went to college after the Cultural Revolution. As a beneficiary of China's reform and opening up, I have gone through and witnessed this historic process. Over the past 30 years, China has successfully transformed itself in many ways, from a highly centralized planned economy to a dynamic socialist market economy, from being closed and semi-closed to all-round opening up. At the same time, we must not fail to see that China is still a developing country, the largest of its kind. Moving ahead, we are faced with various issues and problems of unprecedented scale and complexity. China's basic reality, a large population, weak economic foundation, and imbalanced development, remains more or less unchanged. Human rights has always been a very important topic in Sino-US relations. In fact, the strange thing is, when China and the United States first opened the door to each other, human rights was not an outstanding issue. So at that time, China was still in the years of the Cultural Revolution, when human rights is really lauded. But the U.S. side, tend to focus only on the independence, but not on the, on the issue you were talking about. And now, after these 30 years of reform and opening up, I think all of us agree that there is a constant improvement of human rights in China, and there is a, constant, focusing or attention by groups of people here in the United States, on China's human rights. But we don't want to, ignore this problem. We think that human rights is important. And if you read the Chinese Constitution now, you will see the protection of human rights and the rule of law has been promulgated officially into the Chinese Constitution. And well, when people talk about human rights, they would normally point to the election. And there's one fact I would like to share with you. In China, the lowest, the government level is at the village level in rural areas, and more than 90% of the Chinese village, level government is elected directly. Your former president, Carter, is a human rights advocate. He visited China several times with the Carter Center, and he went to those rural areas to have on-site inspection of these elections. He once told a story that when a village gathered together for the election, they have 3 candidates, each of them sitting in front of the villages. In front of them, there are 3 bowls, rice bowls, but there are no rice in it. And then, they say for a few minutes, explaining what they can do for the villages if they are elected. And then the election started. The villages will, come in front of them one by one, putting 1 stone inside the bowl, if they think he is the right candidate. So President Carter, after coming back, he said that these elections are primitive, by U.S. standard, but they are honest, the real election. So I would say human rights is something, not only the United States, but also China is aspiring for. We have made some progress in the past, but there are still room for improvements. So we are ready to, engage in dialogue, cooperation with foreign countries on human rights. But of course, that should be on an equal basis. That should be on the basis of a mutual respect for each other. Thank you.
It is almost 5:30, so we should, I think...
An American friend.
Mr. Minister, I very much enjoyed your presentation. My wife wanted me to ask you a question now. Is there any way we can convince you not to take the baby panda from the Washington Zoo?
Please tell your wife. I also share the same feeling with her, because I am also living in Washington, D.C. My boy is also a frequent visitor to the National Zoo, and he also felt very, felt sorry for the departure of Taisan. But on the other hand, there is the agreement between the 2 sides. According to the agreement, Taisan, after its birth in National Zoo, should be returned back to China, as early as possible. But taking into consideration the love, of our American friends, to Taisan. So the departure of him has been postponed once, again and again. It has been postponed, I think, so far as I remember, maybe 3 times already. So it has stayed in the National Zoo for 2 years. But now, I'm not a zoologist, but according to to what I was told by the zoologist society in China, that Taisan is now growing up, approaching the age to make friends. And